how to build your product, how to commercialize your product, how to use business model canvas, how to brand it, how to leverage ideas, how do you develop a term sheet, how do you protect intellectual property, and all those, and of course financialization. How do you prepare to do a raise? How do you prepare for investment readiness? And I think most of these episodes are quite power-packed, and it will be exciting if you can take some time to download them from our site. All you have to do is go to our website, which is www.ecoinnovationcenter.com/Techbiz webinar. And if you go into that site, I think my colleagues will be dropping this link in the chat room now. You'll be able to see all the 92 episodes, and I encourage that we just generally download them, run through them. And should you have questions or clarifications about any of the episodes that you go through, feel free to go, to join our Telegram page. We've got a Telegram where we've got going to 2,000 people in the community. And what we basically do is we try to provide support. We try to provide the right hand holding to make sure that we just don't wait for the Techbiz coming up once every Thursday. At every time on the go, we can be there to provide the right support, the right information, the right hand holding that is required for you to be able to successfully navigate the very vocal environment that we have in which you're running your businesses. So feel free again to join the Telegram page. My colleagues, I think, should have dropped also that in the chat room. The link to the webinar, to the site should be in the chat room, and also the link for you to be able to join the Techbiz Telegram page should also be in the chat room. So feel free to use any of that to connect with us today. Today promises also to be exciting as we do a build-up to our annual conference, the Art of Technology Lagos. And this year's conference promises to be mind-blowing. It's explosive. It's by far the biggest we put together over the years. Was Art of Technology Lagos. It's our own way of bringing together, tech experts, ecosystem players, policymakers around the table. It's common knowledge that technology and policy always lacks technology. So what we try to do is, how do we bridge the divide such that there's harmonious collaboration between policymakers and tech ecosystem players? And that's what AOT is. And in the 4th edition, it's just gone bigger and better. This year, we're having people from 5 different African countries, ecosystem players, come to share with us insights about how they've been able to manage talent. Because what are we talking about in AOT this year? We're talking about talent acceleration and connected Lagos. And I think everybody will agree with me that it's a relevant topic for a time like this, with all the Jackpot syndrome and struggles around retaining talent, getting the right talent, upskilling people. There's no better conversation in a time like this than talking about talent management, talent acceleration. How do you fill the pipeline? That's what Art of Technology we're talking about, 8th and 9th of December, landmark. At 9 a.m. every day. Keep a date with us, and I promise it's going to be an exciting session as we co-create together with policymakers the kind of ecosystem that we aspire to have or we wish to build into the future. But this evening, let me not take us very far from that. Let's quickly double down on what we're here today. Again, it's a build-up, and we'll be talking about the role of technology in talent management. Talent management is the conversation. And what is the role of technology? And many of us who are on this platform are, to a large extent, ecosystem builders, founders, and people who are to a large extent involved in the business of tech in one way or the other. And we all have come to see the need about how we not only manage or get the right talent, but it's also how we're able to retain and be able to make sure that we get our talent contributing optimally. And we have a subject matter expert in the house this evening that'll be helping us do justice. Again, it's a build-up to a major annual gathering of policymakers and ecosystem players, which is Art of Technology Lagos. And that's why we're talking about technology, the role of technology in talent management today. And so who exactly is our speaker today, and who is another subject matter expert that is gracing the platform? She's a passionate human resource specialist with practical knowledge and experience in talent acquisition and management. And I think these are the most celebrated people right now. We just can't seem to have enough of them. We need all the help. Okay. And talent acquisition, management, learning and development, performance management, and HR transactional services are areas of core competencies. So it's the whole ramification of the practice of HR, and that's why she qualifies as a subject matter expert. She's currently the head of people and operations at Vedenzi, and founder of the Niger Job Hub. So she also understands where it pinches, the importance of retaining talent, apart from being an outstanding HR practitioner. So the Niger Job Hub is a social impact initiative born out of the desire to help young professionals navigate the world of work. Okay, and of course, this is quite critical for us as we begin to look more around our talents, the capabilities, and how do we upskill and improve the employability of our talents. She's got over a decade of exposure in different sectors. She's known for delivering value across board. Her major interests include human resource operations, employer branding, employee engagement, culture promotion, HR strategy, amongst others. She's also been actively involved in a number of projects which were aimed at improving human resource service delivery and employee engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for keeping a date with us. But I ask you this evening to join me in welcoming Adeshola Aliogo, the head of people operations at Vedenzi, to the platform this evening. Thank you very much, Fola, and it's exciting having you on the platform. Thank you so much, and I look forward to an explosive session with you. Thanks for honoring our invitation.
Thank you so much. I apologize. The power went off and my internet went off as well, so I'm just trying to reconnect now. Okay. Good evening, everyone.
That's typical of Nigeria, and I think that's part of the frustrations that both founders and employees have to go through from time to time. But then we'll see how we navigate these constraints to be able to build the ecosystem.
It's sad. I hope it doesn't happen again, but I'm on inverter now. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and talking to like minds like myself, because I believe that for anyone to join this kind of conversation is because we are both, all of us are interested in talent management. And the topic that we're going to look at quickly or discuss is the role of technology in talent management. It was quite a challenge putting this topic together because, while I'm a human resources professional in a tech environment, marrying the two sometimes can be challenging, but it's good that we're here and we'll just look at this together. So I have about 30 minutes, so I'll just quickly run through my slides. What are we going to be discussing? We're going to look at one or two terms. We're going to have a conversation around COVID and post-COVID work challenges, effectiveness of technology in talent management, and how technology can boost talent management, trends in talent management technologies, and key considerations when choosing a talent management tool. So I'd like the class to also be a bit interactive. And so I may be asking one or two questions. If I ask for people to volunteer and I don't get volunteers, I'll just call names randomly. So please bear with me. That's how I know that I'm not alone in this room. Okay, so let's dive right in. Sorry, my system is hanging. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We all know what technology is. We all know how technology has impacted our lives, how it has made things better for all of us. Before now, if we're going to have this kind of conversation, we'll probably be having all of us in one room and talking to each other, but there are people joining from different locations. I'm here in one location and we can all talk. So we all know what what technology is and how it has been very, very effective and efficient in our lives and even in the work that we do. So I'll just move quickly to talking about talent management. When I talk about talent management, I like to look at it from three things majorly, although this picture shows four, but it's really about how I attract people, how I retain and how I develop people. And when it comes to people here, I'm also really focusing on high-performing people. That's sort of the difference between talent management and just human resources generally. We're looking at key people that we don't like to lose, people that we want to attract. I think every organization has an idea of the kind of people that they want to have, no matter how small you are, whether it's a one-man business or co-founded, whatever it is. We all want to have great people. We all want to have people who believe in the vision that we believe in and who are ready to run with us, bringing in their skills, competencies, and everything that would help us to achieve our goals. And as Victor has said earlier, to scale, to make profit, to be profitable, and to sustain the business. So all of those things that we do with attracting people and all, retaining them, all the measures, everything that we do. And, coincidentally, everything that we do, if you look at HR as a whole, the value chain of HR, we are focused on all of these things that we are talking about. So here, my definition just simply says it's a constant process that involves attracting, retaining high quality employees, developing their skills. Those are retention strategies. And of course, developing them as well, motivating them to improve their performance. It encompasses development opportunities and strategies that motivate teams to be at their best performance. So what are the technology, processes we need to put in place for every function in a business, whether it's HR, whatever it is? We're looking at three things. We're looking at people, we're looking at processes, and we're looking at technology. We can no longer shy away from technology if we really want to scale and continue to exist as a business. So that's why we're looking at this topic today. And of course, a TMS, which is a talent management software, is a unified software platform that supports the core processes of talent management. So what we're doing this evening is looking at the entire value chain of HR, which is about, recruiting or talent resourcing. That's attracting the right people in your business, into your business, being able to convince them to join you, having them on board, managing their performance well, compensating them for the job that they're doing, so in terms of benefit, in terms of, total rewards and everything that an employee expects to get from an employer, and, helping them to upskill in terms of their talents, their skills, and then the circle just keeps going, giving them the right employee experience. They're helping them feel that they are safe. Now, that brings me to the question, which I like to ask, and I like to see comments in the comment section. What do you think employees want? I would like to see comments. Just thinking about it, what do employees want? Okay, I'm hoping to see comments so that I know that I'm not alone. What do employees want? I'm in the chats. Good ethics. Thank you, Mohammed. Usman. Is it just Mohammed that is here? Maybe I should start calling people. I have 21 people here. I'm hoping to see more. And Mohammed, you can add more. What do employees want from employers? Creativity. Interesting view. Employees want creativity from employers. Okay. Money. Thank you, Fadikemi. Thank you for hitting it on the head. A great workplace. I mean, we all want money. Yes, good reward. I mean, sales. Okay. I'm not sure what that is, but remuneration that commensurates with their level of expertise, effectiveness. I think some of us are looking at it from the angle of the employer as well. Well, thank you so much for the inputs. I just wanted to be sure that I'm not alone in the class, so it's good to know that. So I'll just continue with my presentation this evening. Okay, so the next topic here is just still speaking to what we spoke about earlier. It says technology in talent management is helping organizations to be prepared for constantly changing business environments. I mean, we're going to talk after this, we're going to have a quick discussion about COVID. I remember that in 2008, 2009, no, sorry, what am I saying? In 2018, 2017, I was working in an organization where my work tool was, a desktop. I think just before I left the organization, they were trying to purchase a laptop for me. And, of course, I had moved when COVID happened and everybody had to work from home and everything. And I thought about it that if I was still in this organization where what I had was a desktop, how would I be working now? What would have happened to me? Would they have laid me off? Just different thoughts came to my head. A lot of organizations, some were prepared for what happened, some were not prepared at all. So, and Victor had mentioned earlier, we live we're in a constantly changing environment where it's volatile, so many uncertainties that we have to deal with. So how can we prepare ourselves using technology just in case some of these changes happen. That's what we are looking at. So the deployment level, of course, depends on the organization's readiness and, of course, maturity. I also recognize that some of us work in smaller organizations. What can we afford? What can we do with technology? I mean, all of that is important when it comes to this particular conversation, because, of course, use technology, you have to spend, money. So looking at this now, the conversation I wanted to have was on COVID and post-COVID work challenges. And I wanted this to be a discussion. I would like to call anybody, or maybe somebody just volunteer to tell us from, your own organization, how did you survive the period? Did you think that you were ready for the changes that happened? How were you able to pull through? And then even now, what are the challenges that, organizations are facing with regards to even post-COVID work challenge? Some organizations have resumed back fully to work. Some are doing hybrid. I mean, I can tell you one thing that I faced, when it comes to remote work arrangements and all, constantly have to check whether employees are performing, are using the time that they're supposed to use to work for work, or they're using it for personal things. Some of that's just one of the challenges that we face. We were here just now, my internet went off. It's part of it. So let's talk. How did you deal with COVID and post-COVID work challenges? What post-COVID work challenges are you facing? Excuse me. Any volunteer? Please, let's make this interactive. I see names. Hope I have permission to call names. Okay. Ayodele Odubemi, are you there? Would you like to share? Okay, I'll just keep calling. Augustine Joshua. Victor, is this how quiet this class usually is? Let me know. Is it usually this quiet?
Thank you, Adeshola. So, considering that we're currently live, it might be a bit difficult for many of the participants to be able to. So most of them can just drop their feedback in the comment section, and we can capture it from there. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you. That's fine. So, I mean, I think I touched a little on, what I would like to see, get feedback on from everyone. I know that there were organizations that were prepared for the challenges that came with it. They were already using technology to aid the process of, talent management, everything from hiring to payroll management to performance management. Some of people were moving from doing things manually to getting everything technologically driven. And so for me, at the time that this happened, we were lucky to already to have sort of prepared for this, even though when it came, we had to make a few changes to how we were doing certain things. A lot of things had to go online, but in moving to another organization, I saw that they were even more ready than, the organization I had worked in during the time of COVID. So I guess everybody has their own challenges, and I'd like to just see that, but let me continue so I don't drag this. Now, moving on to the effectiveness of technology in talent management. It's very simple, and I'll just quickly list them. Digitize HR processes across talent management areas. So what are the talent management areas, as I've talked about earlier? When it comes to attraction, there are tools now that you can use, and technology can help to do that. In attracting people to you, you want to work on employer branding. And of course, how can people from the outside know about what's going on inside? There are so many ways to do this. Employer branding can be done through employees just telling their stories. And of course, from real experience, not from what has been documented for people to say, right? So what are people experiencing and what are they willing to share outside? On your company website, what stories are there for people to read about, what it feels like to work in your organization? That's looking at your career site. That's a great tool to use to brand yourself when it comes to all of that. So that's really about attraction. There's so many other things, giving the right candidate experience, even using technology People talk about HR and how HR is that, and it's really from the experience that they get from the outside. I read from somewhere that the people who eventually do not even join your organization can be advocates for you, and it really depends on the experience that they have. All of this can be done through digitizing the process of attracting these people and getting them to be on board with you or be interested in joining you. Other HR processes, of course, even for people coming, let's look at onboarding as it is. Gone are those days when you would wait for an employee to join you fully before you begin their onboarding. There are different stages to onboarding. There's pre-onboarding stage, there's the onboarding stage itself, and then post-onboarding stage itself. And all of this can be done using technology. Collecting information ahead of time can be done using technology. You don't have to wait and then drag the process that makes the onboarding of a new hire, which of course will affect the performance of the new hire. And then a lot of things that you drag. A lot of times when we have vacancies, there's already something that you want that particular, or a solution that you want that particular role to bring, or value that you want that particular role to add. But by the time onboarding is dragging, just because you haven't infused technology, then it's going to impact on the time that person has to be able to perform on the role. So just looking at all HR processes, learning, we're going to look at learning as well as we go on, is a talent management area as well that we can use technology to drive. Now we are here, we are learning. Employees can learn on the go. You can have an LMS that people can just go and they can access self-paced learning. Companies are buying into using LinkedIn, Udemy, and so many other sites. I worked at somewhere where we had a tool that was designed specifically for the business that curated learnings from different platforms. Talk about Udemy, LinkedIn, Harvard Business Review, anything that you could think of, book summaries and all. The moment you just go on that platform to search for a topic, you're just going to see it, right? It will just pull resources from it, and it was very good. The only thing that HR had to do was to ensure that people were using these tools. So just checking return on investment for the company as well, checking the effectiveness of the tool. And also you can digitize your HR process. Leave applications should not be manual anymore. I know somebody's saying these things are expensive, but the truth is there are cheaper ones for smaller organizations, and that's what we should aim at, getting. Improve talent pipeline management. This can be done through having a very good recruitment tool. There are so many of them. There's Workable and Smart Recruiters. Even in Nigeria, we have Seamless HR and so many more. You can build your pipeline when you have ways for people to even submit their documents or CV or apply ahead of time and all. And there's just so many tools that people can access, just really empowering your HR team or even hiring managers to be able to use these tools that will help you just sort of plan for exits and, sudden changes within the organization. Of course, wider and targeted global talent reach. Yeah, many of us just sit down and people reach out to us on LinkedIn saying from one country or the other, saying, no, I'm recruiting globally and I thought that you could be a great fit. And these are ways that HR is deploying also to fill vacant roles. So yes, it's important that these are good investments for anyone that can afford it. It's good. You have access to different people in different parts of the world, bringing diverse skills to your organization that will enrich diversity, inclusion, and the impact that you make, reducing hiring cycles and recruitment costs. This is still speaking to, recruitment, improve networking and collaboration among talents, employee engagement. I remember when during COVID, I used to be in charge of well-being for the organization I worked with at the time. And we were used to coming together every last Friday of the month to do something. Today it could be exercise, tomorrow it could just be, just have fun together, play games. But then COVID happened, and it was important at that time because people were going through so much. We had people who, unique cases of people who didn't have maybe families to chill with, and they really just had to be on their own. So we still had to find a way. And what we did then was to say, you know what, we have Zoom. Zoom is technology as well. We have Zoom. Can we come up with something? We realized at that period as well, people had added weight that they didn't want to add because they were at home just eating, working, not moving around, and people were just, adding weight. And we thought, okay, let's do something. And we did a Get Fit challenge. And we used to come together every Saturday for like a whole month. And everything was virtual and it was good, right? We had some of our celebrations that we used to normally do and we organize, physical, whatever, bring in vendors, caterers, and all of that. We're able to do all of that. So we're still able to keep people together. We're still able to help people network. We're able to connect with our employees because we had these tools, right? And we're able to quickly innovate around all of that. And in terms of employee engagement, in measuring employee engagement, being able to deploy surveys, you need to have a tool to be able to do these things. You're not going to measure employee engagement, maybe run a survey by telling people to come and fill a form or whatever. So we just need to constantly think of ways to innovate around all of these things. So as well, measuring the impact of HR value chain surveys. I mean, if you look at a lot of the talent management tools that are available, there are inbuilt surveys these days that are measuring different things: employee engagement, job satisfaction, HR effectiveness survey, and so many more. So this is part of the effectiveness of having tools to help with talent management within your organization. So now, speaking from there, how can technology boost talent management? I mean, some of them we've already talked about, but just give me a minute. Now, still a follow-up from what we've talked about, talent resourcing and onboarding. I'm not going to delve too much into that. Talent resourcing speaks to, being able to hire people and hire right, assessing them right. There are assessment tools now, testing tools. Before, I'm sure back in the day, some people, when they wanted to hire, they would probably have to bring in people into a hall to come and write a test, those graduate training programs and all, but things have changed. People can literally just sit in front of their desk in their house, in front of their laptops. And you have tools that can even take snapshots to know whether a student is cheating or not. So all of these things will help. And of course, I already talked about onboarding earlier. I talked about learning and collaboration. I like to also talk, when I speak, I like to look at examples. One from an experience I had to was also during COVID. We used to have soft skill training programs every year. And it was a lot of courses that we had different facilitators coming to take, where we would have vendors and all. But then we're all at home and people still needed to learn because the business still needed to continue one way or the other. And so what we did was to bring all of those trainings online. So now beyond that, that was the wake of everything. But beyond that, like I mentioned earlier, we went ahead to have a tool where everybody could access learning and all. Another way is to have compliance trainings for people when they're joining the organization, just for them to understand the business that they can actually take from anywhere, any location around the world. So, right, sorry, I just got distracted a bit. Now, that's for learning and collaboration. When it comes to collaboration, there are collaborative tools available right now. In my organization, we currently use Slack for communication. People have different tools that are available. For performance management, different tools are available as well. So all of this is very key. For compensation and benefits, of course, we all know about payroll management systems and different things. There are some innovations that are even coming up around, compensation. We have companies like AnyPay. We have companies like Salad, allowing employees to earn their salary daily, not having to wait maybe till the end of the month before they can earn their salary. So how can you as HR, as a leader, bring in those kind of benefits into your organization to say, okay, this is not developed by us, it's developed by an outsider, but if people want to take advantage of it, this is it. We can bring them on board and all of that. So there's just so many ways to innovate. Performance management, the different performance management tools. Before now, performance management, some companies would wait for a whole year before they do performance review and all. Now there are tools that you can use to set KPIs, clear KPIs for people, and you can track them, you can document feedback, and everything is right, can be done from anywhere. You guys don't have to necessarily physically, or you don't have to wait for a particular time. You can give feedback on the go. Employee experience recognition and rewards, also using talent management tools I was researching something around recognition, and I realized that there are so many tools for recognition where employees can appreciate each other, employees can get rewards and score points that they can use to shop on sites. By the time, if you go online, you see so many of these tools are available. It really depends on how far you're willing to go, what your budget is, and how much you're, really willing to spend. And of course, I already talked about employee engagement earlier, right? So I'll just move straight into it. So when we look at trends in talent management technologies, mobile platform capabilities, if you look at a lot of tools right now, I'm sorry, could you give me a minute? Just. I apologize for that, please. All right, so looking at trends in talent management technologies, if you are going to onboard a talent management, technology into your business, what are the things that are trending that you also need to look at? And I mean, they're listed here: mobile platform capabilities. Can people have the mobile applications? For many of them, they have all of those these days, and they keep competing with each other, everybody coming up with something. They look at all of these things: self-service automation and enablement. Can people do things on their own? Can people walk through the platform on their own? Address information and of course, data security, availability and deployment over cloud, integration across HR processes. It's important to look at the value that talent management is supposed to add, right? And then make sure that that's integrated, yeah? And of course, being able to also, we're going to look at that later, integrating into even some of the internal tools that you probably are able to develop in-house, using social media and digital marketing, adoption of AI and machine learning. Please, I hope we're together. I feel like I've been talking a lot. Can I please see? Can I just show of hands? I hope people can make comments. Let me just know that we're together. Thank you, Mustafa. We're together. Thank you, Fadikemi. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Thank you. I'll just carry on because of time. Adoption of the right technology and analytical tools will enable an organization to measure the efficiency, effectiveness, and impact of the HR processes and activities. For some of the tools that I have used in the past, there are analytics even available that I can check to know how efficient I am as a team. And I talked about surveys earlier, and business results respectively. Adoption of right technology will benefit organizations to plan, design, and implement the right talent strategy to achieve desired. The truth is, I've realized that for some of the challenges that I've had in HR across different, when you talk about payroll, if you want to minimize payroll errors, yes, we can use Excel and all of those things, but when you have a tool, while I understand that it's somebody that would, be managing the tool, it sort of is an easier way to minimize errors. If you look at so many things, if you want to be fast with recruitment, you need this tool. So everything that we do in HR, I realized that for us to do it well, there needs to be automation. When it's not automated, there's always problem. You literally have to do everything manually and by yourself. So that's why it's not just about adopting technology, looking at the one that suits your organization. The fact that it is working for one organization does not mean that it will work for your own organization. So sometimes too, it needs to be bespoke. So even when you're adopting a tool, it needs to enable you to be able to bring in your own process, right, into getting it done. So quickly, I'll just move into the next part, which is kind of like the last part of my talk, which talks about, what you should consider when you're choosing a talent management. So I think some of them I've talked about. Of course, the business comes first. What works for company A may not work for you. a performance management system built into a particular tool may not work for how you want your performance management system to run. And the same goes for really everything. So when you're looking at it, is it possible for them to make it bespoke for you? Can they make alterations, changes? But when you're talking to all of these people and they're telling you, oh, this is what we have, this is what we have, then you may have challenges with it, which I have experienced, right? With some of the tool that I currently use, I realized that a lot of things that we thought were possible are actually not possible. And so it's giving us issues with different processes. So you need to ask questions. It's nothing personal. It's about really getting value for the money that we're spending. Technology provider roadmap, flexible and scalable. So that is as we grow. So today we're a 10-man team. Tomorrow we're 20, 30, 100, 500. Thinking of how fast you want to grow as a business, you need to consider the tool that you're going to use. If you want to be changing it every time and you know it's going to affect your productivity, it's fine. But if you know that you cannot afford it, you may want to look at something that can sustain between. So most of them, you see, they'll ask you questions between this band and this band. What's your number of employees? So as you grow, you know that you can still sustain this. So scalability is very important. Coexistence and integration. Can we integrate this? So for instance, if you look at your career site, can you integrate it with the recruitment tool that you have invested in? If you're not able to do that, then that's a problem. Can people go directly from there from your career? So those are some of the things that you need to look at. And then of course, you cannot overrule the importance of comprehensive HR platform. It's always good to, if it's possible, it's not easy to find one that has it all, but as much as possible, let that talent management tool have it all. And even if you have to have one or two other tools outside, let it be as minimal as possible. So I think that I have come to the end of my conversation, and we can just speak to comments, questions, or any other thing that we need to talk about. So I mean, it's important that I know that this has been valuable to all of us on this call. So thank you, Victor. I'm done now. Hi, can you hear me? Hello? Wow.
Okay, hello, I'm back. Thank you. I was struggling with my unmute button. I think my colleagues that actually with that, and thanks so much for that explosive session. That was quite insightful. And I think it brings us to, quickly appreciate the value of what technology will do. As I cast my mind back, I remember many of the things we struggle to adopt, okay? In our team, we have multi-site located organization. We struggle with quite a number of things. And many of those things we considered very uncomfortable to implement then. And then suddenly COVID came. And then the things we thought were uncomfortable now became the way of life. And I think for quite a number of people, that's what it is. And so thank you so much. Again, I like the part around the ability to scale. And every time I find myself having conversations in the ecosystem with people around employability, I keep saying there's no better time that people are opportune to be able to upskill themselves than now. With technology, we've got open universities. With technology, we've got free learning apps. Most of our developers were self-taught. Most of the people doing amazing things in technology's ecosystem are self-taught. From YouTube, studying the code, studying the links and all that. And so I think this is a time and an age where nobody has an excuse not to be skilled. Okay. And I think you brought the point home quite clearly. Whether it's engagement, whether it's whatever it is, I think it's possible to leverage. Again, we should emphasize technology is an enabler. Technology leverages this. We still have to get these things done through the business processes, but technology makes us be able to do things in an amazing pace, in an amazing way, with higher impact than if we had to do it without technology. And that basically is it. So, just to check, are there people that have questions in there? Okay, thank you very much. I think I see Taiwo. So there's a question from LinkedIn. How will the future of work trends and emerging technologies impact talent development and talent management? How will the future of work trends and emerging technologies impact talent development and talent management? Do you want to take that?
Okay, I think that we've sort of already talked about it. So I think we also need to agree that there's no future of work anymore. We're already in the future, first of all. Maybe a few years ago, we're all talking about the future of work, but the truth is, it is now here. Now, we talked about some of the trends in talent management earlier. So if you're looking at how it impacts, we talked about it. Now, talents are global. Before now, we used to say, oh, we can't hire somebody that is not within. In fact, no, most employers would even frown at anything remote. The moment nobody even brought up conversations around remote work because it was not obtainable. But now, talents will tell you, I'm sorry, my job is not even sorry. They will tell you because they have a competing offer and because you want to attract, you want to hire fast as well, because you need to get work done. You also need to now be flexible enough to allow them work. So yes, absolutely, the style of work has changed. The talents are now very aware of how scarce they are. I'm talking about talents now, not just anybody looking for a job, right? How fast they are. And so organizations still need to be ready for this kind of talents. How can you get these people on board from whatever location, especially the tech guys? We're looking at technology here. When you look at engineers and all, we have many engineers working for companies abroad and they're here. They've never even been there physically and all. I have a friend who got a job from a company abroad. They didn't even have any physical location in Nigeria in the first place, and all his boxes and everything was there. So we need to prepare ourselves, on even how to protect ourselves, mitigate the risk. So in terms of, our resources, our assets, and still ensure that the business, continues. And of course, we've talked about learning earlier. That's talent development. Businesses need to also prepare for all of that. How can people learn on the go? How can it go so fast that people are not saying that they're not learning, they're not developing, there's no excuse. So look at all the different aspects of talent development and use technology to really address some of those issues.
Yeah, thanks. And I think you brought out a salient point, which I think prepares us for this very future of work, is the part of risk. Okay, so as business owners, as founders, I hear us talking a lot, future of work, and we talk about the very exciting, very glamorous side. I work from home, it's hybrid work and all that. But for businesses, organizations, individuals, the biggest risk is around the remote working and protection of proprietary information and all that. I was reading, I think, in one of the news platforms about one of the telcos payment platforms in East Africa that was hacked, and I think $2 or $2.5 million dollars thereabout, I'm not sure what the figure was moved within a twinkle of an eye. So these are part of the risk that will be inherent as we begin this future. As we begin to live out, okay? And trust me, the whole world is course correcting. As we get in there, we're learning what are the upsides, what are the downsides, how is a better way to deal with people. Performance management systems need to be a lot tighter. I was having a conversation earlier this morning with a co-founder where I said the biggest part of challenges I see working in this part of the world compared to other side of the world is the fact that many of our compensations and appraisal system is based on inputs. The risk of that is you are rewarding effort, you're rewarding people coming on time, running, and all those things that we do in African setup. The challenge you're going to have with remote work and everything is that KPIs and all that need to be tied to the output of work. When it's tied to output of work and tied to productivity, it becomes a different kettle of fish. And we begin to define who exactly is the talent. Because it's no longer about your ability to know what to do. It is about being able to deliver what you need to do, how and when at the right quality. So I think with remote working, with hybrid working, with quite a number of things being decentralized, it portends its own level of risk, which I think all of us needs to begin to sink into that reality, begin to understand the importance of cybersecurity, cyber safety. The whole of an organization can actually be compromised by one employee seated 50,000 kilometers away from you guys. The
Absolutely.
whole of the infrastructure of an organization can be compromised. Okay. Ability to ensure that there's integrity, data integrity, information integrity across this vast expanse of where a network where we have our people, all your resource is another different kettle of fish. In those days, you had innovation and you lock yourself in an innovation room. I used to work in multinational where you have innovation rooms that you are iterating and all that. And when you go, you drop the books, you close everything, you wipe out the bugs and everything is still in your brain. Now, you are sending technology information across, people are collaborating. And question is, what is the place of confidentiality? Okay. How do you safeguard confidentiality? How do you safeguard information? How do you provide proprietary technology and information at stages of iteration at very, very early stages? How are those things safeguarded? So I think as we begin to talk about it, which I appreciate the beauty, the upsize, the balance it creates for talent. I think the flip side for also promoters of businesses is that we need to understand this risk and, you know, prime this risk into our operational models so that we have a clear-cut understanding of what this portends. Okay, I just wanted to add that by way of content into it, that it's actually a new world that everybody's learning, but much more than talking about it from people working, you know, remotely and all that, is the fact that it has given us also some new level of challenges which nobody envisaged, and every day we're beginning to see the impact of that.
And I just wanted to add, right? So you also shared a bit on performance. I think part of the issue that people also have with, first of all, we need to also agree that not all jobs can be done remotely or even hybrid.
Beautiful.
Not all jobs. So it's important. I know an organization that what they was to review all of their jobs and define and say this one cannot be done. Of course, if I'm doing, so for instance, let's look at Amazon. How many of Amazon workers will be able to work from home, except maybe people like myself, maybe HR, and even as HR, sometimes you also need to be in those spaces and understand how people are feeling to be able to bring up the right strategies and everything to give the right employee experience. So it's important to define those roles that cannot be done remotely or even hybrid and let it be clear to whoever is going to take on the job. Now, when it comes to remote workers or hybrid workers, there also needs to be policies around even remote work, right? That people understand, even though I'm working remotely, there are certain rules and what no matter how fast, you know, the world becomes and all, there are still going to be rules that needs to be followed. And of course, I think part of the issues is a lot of people you need to set clear expectations, and the focus should also be on productivity, right? The focus should be, if you're expected to maybe do these 10 things, I want to see the results of the 10 things. So move from the traditional way of performance management to what works. How often can I check in with you to know how well you're doing? And of course, I always say that you need to also communicate as much as possible. I like to use the word over communicate. We need to be in each other's spaces. We need to be able to talk at any time. Not that I will encroach in your personal space or whatever, which is what a lot of talents are complaining about, that even this remote work is not even working for them because they find out that all their time is even for the work. So everybody has
9 p.m. meetings.
About it, but so we are all making one sacrifice or the other, but in the end, the focus should be on the goal. Is it clear? Are the performance indicators clear to whoever it is that owns them? How do we know that we're progressing as a team? How often do we check in with each other and all? I think in terms of risk, it's important to also identify what those risk elements are. You know, part of what I thought about recently, somebody is working remotely, I need to give them work too. But how do I safeguard myself? So we started asking ourselves, should we begin to insure our laptops just in case something happens? And even apart from insurance, when that's about theft or whatever, what about information security, just as you have talked about? The IT guys need to proactively think of how to protect the organization. So it's a whole lot of work. And I think that it keeps developing.
Yeah, right. and that's the future of what we're talking about. We're already in there. Bearing in mind that we've not delved in the part of metaverse. So question is, how are people going to live, work, operate attend meetings in the world of metaverse. Is a new kettle of fish you all gotten there. But hey, this is the new world. We've always anticipated. We need to ride it out. But as we look at all the upsides, I think it's also proper that we're dialing into what are the downsides, and so that we can have mitigations about performance, productivity, and all that. Because you begin to ask ourselves, when you hear people like Elon Musk insisting that people come into the office, what exactly are they saying? What are they hearing? What are the nuances that they're trying to mitigate? And rather than just shut it down, the question is, are there things that we should be looking at? The other thing I see again is, not to go very technical, but there's something about culture. There's something about culture and the nuances of a people. When you look at what we call the Ofsted scale of cultural dimensions, which most HR practitioners will know, it talks about different communities, and it has these 6 or 7 dimensions of culture. It talks about individualism versus culture, that was collectivism. It talks about long-term versus short-term orientation about people. So it talks about the culture of a people. Now, the difference between our culture and those in the Western Hemisphere is basically they're a lot more individualistic. You might not know somebody about your neighbor who is in there. That's how they live. That's how the cultural orientation is. Very individualistic. You might not say hi to anybody in your apartment building. Of course, we're having places where people are now having apartment buildings. But remember, we used to come in, face my slap few yards. We're very communal people, not only us in Asian countries and all that, the Japanese. So the question you also ask as we go further into this future of work is, how will people be able to survive with their mental health? The more we get isolated from people, the more you find yourself behind this screen, talking to this screen, streaming entertainment online, and ordering your food from a food company while you're lying on your bed, and you have the ability to stay in your room for a whole month without interacting with any new being. The question is, what are the new challenges that present for HR managers and talent management? Bearing in mind that culturally, and when I tell people about why religion does so well in Africa, it's not just because of poverty. It's because for many people, it's a social construct, is a social gathering, and that was why COVID was tough for many, because people needed to be isolated from those social things. And we saw the manifestation, domestic violence, mental issues, and all that. As we continue to drive this agenda in a culture that is very collectivist in nature, when we look at the Ofsted scale, we need to begin to understand what will be the impact on the overall health and mental well-being of our talents, and to be sure that are they getting the right support from physical interactions, because I'm someone who does not go to work from morning till evening. Is not likely to take it back to go to a lounge or a restaurant to have lunch for 30 minutes. It's not, so all those are the dimensions of future of work that we will begin to understand in the few years to come, and ask ourselves what has been the impact. But I think that around supporting people and holding people, learning on the job, feedback mechanism, there are a couple of dimensions of talent management that the future of work has come to disrupt, which we're in now. And we need to understand, were they frills or are they essential parts of talent and asset management? I think, but those conversations will be for researchers later in the year.
Yeah, I mean, and I like that you brought this up. If you recall, during my presentation, I just quickly gave an example of when we had to do a Get Fit challenge, because it takes well-being. In fact, one of the things that I do right now is have a year calendar for well-being initiatives, looking at what's happening around us and using that to come up with things to do, just to get people to feel that you care about the other aspects of their lives, right? As much as we grow, as much as we want to. I have a friend who told me, you know why I like to go to the office? Because I'm not married, and this is the only time I can associate with other people. So everybody has different needs at different times, and that's why diversity, inclusion comes in. And that's why that's also a thing right now. Just getting to understand that, just as you have said, individualism and all, we're looking at having global talents. We're going to have some white guy somewhere who has a different orientation. But we as people managers must continue to make these opportunities to collaborate, interact, available. Now, there was a video I did recently, and I was talking about employee engagement. And I was trying to just differentiate it from, experience, or well-being initiatives that people do, like thank God it's Friday and those things. We don't have to come in physically together to do it. You can have a office party online, just constantly checking in on people to be sure that you're looking at different aspects of their lives. And I think just being deliberate about it would also help people feel that, they are not alone, because as much as we love this remote work, sometimes you just actually really want to get out and interact with people. You don't want to just sit in one spot, because that also has its adverse effects, even apart from wellness now, or emotional well-being and whatever, even on physical wellness, because if people are sitting in a spot for very long, you're also going to begin to look at other health challenges that could come up. That's why some organizations, part of your package as compensation package would be remote work tools, and you must get it. Ergonomic chairs, they want to see what your work desk is. I mean, there are so many ways to address this. They put it as part of your package, and you must actually get it and maybe share and let people see that, let the organization see that this is what you have done with the money. So just to, and then I remember one thing we used to do one time, or maybe it was just an initiative that came, just sending messages to say, stand up or something. HR being deliberate about all of these things to get people to get up from their seats, interact, call somebody, we'll have to continue to improve on it, really, and identify the challenges as they come.
Yeah, it's a new world, a new way of working, a new way of life, a new way of living. The future we all anticipated has come upon us, and it's disrupted quite a lot in there. Absolutely. Okay, so again, it's Adeshola, thank you so much. That was quite expository, and thank you for diving down. Thank you for all the effort to come in. On the platform and share from your words of knowledge. This again is what technology has brought in. This again is how we continue to support people from all walks of life. There are people dialing, and for you to take the time out to share your words of knowledge, we sincerely appreciate.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and to all other viewers of Techbiz, thank you for being a part of the webinar today. I had to look at the hour to see that we're already getting to the hour. I always have a commitment of making sure we don't go beyond the hour. But today, I think the HR beat and the future of work, talent, and all that is an exciting topic that I think is very quite important to everyone, and it's the heart of the things that bothers us as founders, entrepreneurs, as the case may be. But she's done quite an exponential work as we talk about talent management, using technology, the future of work, and the trends. And I do hope that you have benefited one or two things from what she's shared. Possibly you joined us late and you want to have an idea of what we discussed. You want to take time again to go through this. Just go again to our website, www.ecoicenter.com/webinar. And then as you link that, you will see this is the 92nd episode. You said the 91 episodes, and this episode will also be up by 12 noon tomorrow thereabout, and you can be able to download this and watch it over again. And my colleagues, I'm sure, should this time around have dropped the link to the webinar page on the website so that you can see all what we've discussed. And should you want to be part of the Techbiz forum on Telegrams, we've got 2,000 amazing people who are helping to handle each other, provide the support. That's what technology is also doing. And having friends across all divide. Try, and we all of us have the common thread of technology bringing us together. Do try to the link is in the chat room. My colleagues can drop it again. To use the link and join the Telegram page. I'm there with a host of other subject matter experts to provide the right support for you, share information, answer your questions, just support you across the journey, because the journey also can be quite lonely. And so this brings us to the end. Again, I want to personally use this opportunity to invite you to our annual gathering that happens in December of every year, which is a platform that brings out tech ecosystem players, policymakers, and entities to be able to sit down together to dialogue and come up with policy frameworks that help to leapfrog and accelerate the growth and development of our technology ecosystem. And I encourage you to please go to www.aotlagos.com and do register. We've got over 22 to 23,000 people registered as of today, across different parts of the world. And I encourage you, please help me also drop the link to AOT so you can register. I encourage you to please register. It promises to be quite enlightening. We're talking about talent acceleration in Connected Lagos in the age of Jackpot, in the age of building talent. What's happening in the diaspora? What's happening locally here? What should I go? Shouldn't I go? What skill set do I need? What's relevant for the future of work? What are the trends saying? What should policy be doing? And all that. Let's come together and co-create rather than, being on social media and we complain and all that. Let's own our lives. Let's own our destiny. Let's own our narratives. And let's build our ecosystem and be the ones at the forefront of it. So I'm personally inviting you on the 8th and the 9th landmark conference and event center here in Victoria Island, Lagos, Baoniru. I'm inviting you to personally register and attend out of the Lagos on the 8th and 9th. It promises to be quite exciting. What are we doing differently? We have, for the first time this year, ecosystem players from 5 other African countries, from Morocco, from Egypt, from Rwanda, from Kenya, from Accra, from South Africa, and from Kigali. They are joining us to discuss the whole conversation around talent management from an African perspective. Do keep it a day to be with us, and it promises to be exciting. And I remain again as I sign out now, Victor Bindafolabi, the founder of the Co-Innovation Center. Thanking you for keeping a day with us. Thanking you for joining us this evening to discuss the issue of how talent and technology interface and interject, and how we can be able to leverage technology to better manage our talent. I look forward to hosting you again on the last Thursday of next month in December, which will be the final Techbiz episode for the year. And do want to say a big thank you. Thank you, everyone, and do have a great weekend.